I'm Lindsay Hauk, and I'm here to take you on a journey of the history of this building, Richfield School. Founded in 1916, this building now nears the end of its life after almost a century of educating Richfield's children. So let's take a look at how this building has grown and changed from then to now.
As the Western movement started across the land, education was on its heels. Our forefathers realized the need for education, and no sooner would a community develop than a school would be started. One such community was Richfield, Ohio. Located just south of Cleveland, the Richfield Township, as we know it today, was divided into two, East and West Richfield. There are some remains of that time even to this day. In 1816, the first school was officially established in East Richfield. The teacher, only one, Lenman Farnham. By 1835, the need for more education was prevalent and the Academy, a private school, was started. This would last for 37 years.
By 1840, the Log District schools, a series of one-room schoolhouses, had developed into both East and West Richfield. However, as the populations in both districts expanded, so did the need for a larger building with additional classrooms. And by 1860, West Richfield built its first multi-classroom building. After burning down and being rebuilt, this building has survived to become the area's Masonic temple. West Richfield built its first high school in 1872 and graduated its first class in 1879. The class consisted of two people, Milo Hallowell and Harriet Pope. By 1905, the communities of Richfield realized the need to merge and establish one school system, and the need for a newer and expanded facility was in the making. The West Richfield building became the new elementary school, and the building for the new high school was on the site that once housed the academy. During construction, classes were held in the Old Town Hall, now home to the Richfield Historical Society. In August of 1917, the new Richfield High School was dedicated.
During my 12 years at Richfield School, the student enrollment remained quite constant, averaging 15 or 16 in each elementary grade and a few less in each high school grade due to some dropouts. There was one teacher for each two elementary grade. That is, the first and second grades were in one room, third and fourth were in one room, and so forth. Students from one grade were assigned desks left of the center and the other grade on the right of the center. While the teacher was conducting a class for one grade, the other students were supposed to study. However, distractions were a definite problem for many.
All of the rooms had two grades, first and second, third and fourth, and so forth. In the high school, there were three teachers, including the principal, who was a teacher also. The principal, Mr. Schweisberger, came there as his first year of teaching when I was in the 9th grade, what would have been 1928. Later he became superintendent, and then that became superintendent of Revere schools.
There were no school secretaries. Good students were asked or volunteered to answer the phone and do small tasks in the office. School supplies were sold from the office for many years. We never had much playground equipment. Teachers took turns on the playground and came up with many good games like Fox and Geese, Red Rover, and relays, and so forth.
The year 1935, my graduation year, was a hard time for most school systems. Depression and loss of jobs for many people was very devastating. Our school was in much need of painting and repairs by 1935, so school was closed for 6 weeks so the work could be done. The WPA organization did the work. Then came spring. Money for operating the schools, teachers' salaries was also very short, so our year was shortened even more.
If you packed your lunch, you would go down to the restrooms and then buy your milk and return to your home room. Only those buying lunch got to eat in the cafeteria.
Way in years past, before the school lunch program started, volunteer mothers prepared simple, hot lunches for the students, and the home economics classes served them. Garden produce and fruits were donated by the community.
During the Depression, women would come in there and can stuff, vegetables, make soup, and then you get a bowl of soup at lunchtime. That was a freebie. That's during the Depression. Nobody had any money, but we all had big gardens, and some of the guys had hogs and stuff that they could get parts off of that to make a lunch. Oh yeah. Sometimes you didn't get a lunch though. There was never a regular lunch cafeteria there. I can't remember of ever having a cafeteria where you bought a lunch until I went back to work there.
As to our transportation to school, for a short time we were transported on a flatbed truck having a canvas top. We sat on plain wooden benches in the truck, and George Wilkinson was the driver.
If you lived in the West Center or the East Center or up towards Broadview Road towards the cemetery and that, or south, as far as what is the golf course now, and as far west as Southern Road, you walked. There was no bus rides for you. You had to live beyond them boundaries. It's the same way at East Center, and that you had to walk from East Center up to the school.
Later, there were school buses. Ours at one time was driven by a local man whose driving skills were so poor, my dad didn't want my brother and me to ride with him unless the weather was really bad. I don't recall anything in high school. Those were Depression days. But even though we were poor, we didn't know it because most of our friends were in the same condition as we.